Do you wave your terrible towel when Renegade plays? Reach for a tasty cake when JJ shouts, "He scores!" Does the sound of an F1 engine make your heart race? Doing push-ups with the Nittany Lion after a TD? Then lend us an ear, and we will share the exhilaration of Steelers football, the excitement of Flyers hockey, the nail-biting finishes of F1, and the pride when we yell, "We are Penn State." Welcome to the SteelFlyers show, the strangest combination of sports fandom since pineapple was put on pizza.
Welcome! Say hello to your host, SteelFlyers.
Greetings. Thank you. That is our lovely and delightful co-host, RoNece. There is so much to get into, and we can hardly wait to get to it.
39 days till kickoff for the NFL 2021 season. We can't wait. And our Steelers are showing off for the Hall of Fame game.
Flyers have made changes. Will that help or harm?
Welcome to another great show as we are super excited to get started.
Woo! In fact, we're really going to get started because there is just so much to get into. And first of all, we would like to say welcome back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a little sabbatical. A lot of things have gone on.
Just gotten busy.
Yep, just gotten busy. And so we're going to get into it right away. And one of the first things that I want to talk about right off the bat is I know we're in the NHL is in full off-season mode, and I get it. We just had the draft here about a week or so ago, and free agency started on the 28th of July, and a lot of things have gone down, especially with the expansion draft, just a couple of days before the regular draft. So now that's 2 weeks old now for the expansion draft, and so I'll tell you what, a lot of things have happened, especially with the Flyers.
Yeah, they've actually made some changes.
Some changes? Yeah, that would be putting it mildly, I would think. All right, let's just start with the top, because this has been hashed and rehashed and overhashed. And
I'm sure you've talked about it.
More than overhashed and whatever. So, Philadelphia brought in Martin Jones as their backup goaltender.
Right.
He was bought out by San Jose. They were able to get rid of the Gostisbehere contract, and he was shipped out along with Nolan Patrick and Phil Myers, and also the Voracek contract was moved.
Right.
Without retaining any salary.
Right.
Right. So, all right. And we lost our first-round draft pick from this year, second-round pick next year, third-round pick, the third and the second-round pick in 2023. So, with all that being said, the list of players that came to the Flyers are Rasmus Ristolainen, Ryan Ellis, Keith Yandel, Cam Atkinson, and I did say Martin Jones as well.
Right.
And Nate Thompson.
Yeah.
And who else am I missing?
I don't remember.
Am I missing anybody else?
I don't remember.
Right. So, yeah, we lost a couple of players. We lost Myers, and we lost Patrick.
We lost
Voracek, and Brian Elliott, too, signed with Tampa Bay. So, a lot of changes going on here with the Flyers, and I have to say that I had to eat a little crow.
Yeah.
I was maybe overly critical of Mr. Chuck Fletcher. And what he was doing with this team based off of the things that he's done over the last two seasons. And then based off of the record that the Flyers have had in the last two seasons. And I didn't see enough from the team. And then the way the team underperformed in the 2021 last season, you know what I mean? Even though it was COVID and everything like that, the team very, very much underperformed. And clearly enough was not done.
They had a good start last season, and then it kind of fell away.
Yeah, they did have a really good start. They were playing really well at the beginning of the season, and then COVID hit, and then the tires fell off.
Right, they had COVID issues, and then they just never recovered.
17 days. Yeah, the Flyers were down for 17 days. That wasn't the longest bout by any stretch. It wasn't a Vancouver bout, you know what I mean? But still, 17 days, and they missed quite a few games, But I didn't see. I was seeing the excuses, and I wasn't seeing the results. And I'm not a fan of excuses and with no results. And now we're actually seeing stuff that Chuck Fletcher has done over the last 3 weeks, I would say.
Are a lot of the players, I thought I saw this, that a lot of the players that they're bringing in are former Rangers. Is that true?
Not all of them are former Rangers, but some of them are. Well, two of them are friends with Kevin Hayes.
Okay.
Right, and Yandel has time with AV in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Right, and then they also brought in Darryl Williams, which was the coach that's replacing Ian LaPerriere, because Ian LaPerriere is now going to be the coach at the Phantoms.
Yeah.
Right, so they brought in Darryl Williams, and he was a coach that used to coach with AV when he was with Minnesota and with New York.
Right.
Okay, so they're bringing in, and this is what I think is going on here, is that Chuck Fletcher is finally starting to bring in AV type players, guys that are 200-foot responsible, guys that are, not only can, put the puck in the back of the net, but play defensively responsible. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that has been few and far between here in Philadelphia. And frankly, the other thing too that I have to say that I've noticed as well is that almost all the players that have been brought in are all leadership type players. We're all wearing the A.
Right.
Or, on their teams that they came from.
Their season too. There's not a lot of...
there's not... I mean, they're not like, Brian Elliott, 36,
right.
But they're not, 22, 23.
Right.
The Ryan Ellis, I think, was a huge, major... Cha-ching! That to me, I think that was a win.
Yeah.
For Philadelphia, because that just put somebody up there with Provorov.
Right.
Okay, and that just instantly makes that top line now really good, because Ellis is going to be the guy that's going to stay at home, and Ellis is going to be the guy that's going to calm things down, and he's going to probably be the quarterback of the power play, and Yandel will probably be in there too.
Right.
I mean, that was probably one of the reasons why they brought Yandel in there, because our power play.
Well, what power play?
Yeah, was putrid, poo-poo. I don't know how do you say that in any more of a less graphic way.
Was not very successful. Let's put it that way.
No, not at all. Not one little tiny bit. So, but yeah, a lot, and the players that were brought in, Rasmus Ristolainen is going to be the only one. We paid a first-round draft pick for this guy for 2021. That was the 13th overall pick in this year's draft that we gave up for him to Buffalo. Now, to be honest with you, Ristolainen was a first-round draft pick. He was drafted, I believe, 8th overall.
Really?
In his draft class in the first round.
Okay.
So he was a first-round draft pick. Everybody's up in arms over this one because, his Corsies look really bad. His analytics look really bad, right? But he's played on a really bad team.
It's kind of hard to be successful when...
And yeah. And he's been their number one guy way too early, right? And now he's the number one guy, and he's not... That's not what he's supposed to be.
Right.
Right? So he's going to be able to come into Philadelphia and not be the number one guy.
And be able to develop and
be able to, hopefully, we can put him with, say, Sanheim. And be that second pairing.
Gotcha.
Second D pairing. Maybe he can even play on the second power play or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like, he's big. He's tough. He plays a tough, gritty game. He finishes checks.
He sounds gritty. Some of the quotes I've seen from him are like,
yeah,
he just wants to be out there causing problems.
Right. He's like that nudge.
Yeah.
One of those guys that gets under your skin, and boy, does Philadelphia need somebody like that.
Yeah, we do.
Because what happened to TK? He was somebody like that, but he just dropped off. Like, the last 2 seasons, including the playoffs, he wasn't that guy anymore. And his production massively dropped off.
Right.
So we need that guy. And Ellis as well as one of those guys that doesn't take any garbage.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And Sam Moran was re-signed as well, too.
I was happy about that. I like Sam.
Yes, like that. And qualifying offers made to Carter Hart and also to Sanheim. Another big major change that happened with Philadelphia was the Martin Jones brought in. He was bought out by San Jose. He signed a majorly large contract. I believe it's $5.6 million for multiple years that they bought him out. Okay, in San Jose. And so he was brought in to be the backup for Carter Hart.
Right.
I
Especially now that
Yeah, there were some other goaltenders out there that potentially could have. I mean, Grubauer was out there, but he's a number one goalie, and you can't bring a number one goalie to come in here with Carter Hart because.
see, we could have gotten Fleury instead of Chicago.
Well, see, now that's interesting that you say that because there were some other names maybe potentially. Holtby, he was bought out by Vancouver, so he was potentially available. I believe. There was another goalie out there too that I can't remember that was available. But he was snatched up quickly too.
Well, I'm sure because goalies are like quarterbacks. You got to get it when you can.
Exactly. And here's the other thing too. Martin Jones signed the exact same contract that Holtby did. Right, 1 year for $2 million. So, to be honest with you, I know a lot more of the history of Holtby than I know about Martin Jones.
Okay.
Holtby played significant amount of games in Washington. Holtby won the cup in Washington. Holtby has a over 60% winning percentage as a goalie. Right, so that's the type of goalie that I would have been all right with him coming.
Right.
I would have been all right, but we'll see how this Martin Jones guy goes. I mean, he didn't get a big contract in San Jose for nothing.
Well, and he's going to be backup, so.
True, but when the schedule was released for the Flyers, there's a lot of back-to-backs, and those back-to-backs are going to be against teams like Boston, teams like Pittsburgh, teams like the Rangers, teams like
all
the
within
Islanders.
our divisions.
Exactly. And look, you need a goaltender that can come in and not lose against the good teams too.
Right.
Okay, yeah, you're going to throw him out there for the ragdoll teams, but you also need him there to be able to win those odd 6 or 7, 20. Look,
against the Penguins, against the Bruins,
exactly. For those back-to-back games. Okay, and that's the reality of it.
Okay.
So we're not looking at it as a backup goalie. We're looking at it as a 1B.
Right.
Because this goalie is going to have to potentially come in and play maybe 30 games, maybe 35 games. I don't know. It's all going to depend on how Carter Hart rebounds and how he comes back. If he's one of those goalies that can play 50, 60 games, let him play 50, 60 games.
Right.
But if he's not, then you need a guy that can come in and play, 40, 60.
Right.
Something along those lines. You know what I mean? And so that's why Philadelphia needs that goaltender that is a little bit a step above, just a backup goaltender.
Mm-hmm.
So just a step above somebody that's just going to be able to just play against the fluff teams and win. Yeah, no, we need you to play against the back-to-backs and the home-to-homes and all that other stuff too.
Right.
So
not be that easy mark that the team goes, oh, the backup's in, I know we're gonna win.
Exactly. So now let me ask you a question. What grade would you give the Flyers this off season?
I'd give them about a B minus.
A B minus?
Yeah, because they've done some good things. I think they've made some changes. It seems like they're bringing in some players that can be leaders.
Yeah.
Could they have done a little better? Maybe. But with the cap that they have, there wasn't a lot they could do. So.
Well, here's the thing. So you're giving them a B minus?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
What are you giving them?
Okay. The moves that Fletcher made to relieve the cap space, because Flyers still have cap space. And quite frankly, I don't think they're done.
I don't think they are either.
I think because we still need that. We still need although maybe they are. Maybe they brought in enough guys and enough depth to swing, and still have some cap space.
When does the cap change again? Like, when do they restore it?
Okay, so it was voted on that there would be a flat cap for 2 seasons.
Okay.
And then they would base it on the 3rd season after that, or the next season after that. They would base it off of the revenue that came in from the playoffs of this season. Okay. So I really think that we're beyond the point of the fact. And here's the other thing that nobody else is taking into consideration that I've read, seen, or heard, or all the talking heads, everybody, they're all saying, oh, the flat cap. Can I just remind everybody what happened over the past winter? Okay, so the National Broadcasting Company, NBC, said we're done carrying NHL and sports.
Yeah, that seemed like an odd decision, but that's me.
Right. And so
It's what?
ESPN said, really? All right. And TNT said, really? Hold my beer. And they snatched it up. And they got all the rights for the NHL for the next 7 years, I believe it is. Well, they quadrupled the amount of money that they were making in their last contract compared to this contract.
Okay.
So the TV revenue went super high.
So that should help.
Okay, so now instead of $4 billion over the next 7 years, right, it was $4 billion over 10 years.
Okay.
Was what the last one was, right? This is going to be, I believe, close to $9 million for like 6 seasons.
Okay.
Hey, that means more teams get more of that money,
I hope so.
which potentially could help teams cover for the loss and allow the cap to go up a little bit, because it has gone up traditionally the last couple of years. It's gone up incrementally.
Right.
It goes up a certain percentage, but that allows for teams to do certain things and gives teams more room to do other things. So I mean, it's one of those things. So, but you gave him a B minus?
I did.
Okay, I'm gonna say A minus.
Really?
Yes.
That high?
I am going to go that high because I am going to eat some crow with the whole, I didn't think Chuck was going to do enough. I think he's done enough. I mean, I still think there might be some other potential moves out there. I'm not necessarily happy that we overpaid for some of the guys that we picked up, but I am glad for the guys that we did get and the leadership type qualities that these players are bringing to the table.
I think that's what they were looking for.
The culture change that's going to be in Philadelphia on the ice next year. No Nolan Patrick. That, I think, is a huge burden lifted off of this team.
Yeah.
And I also think it's a huge burden lifted off of Nolan Patrick.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to face that question in Philadelphia anymore. So, are you playing? Are you playing? How you feeling? How's your head? How's your head? Are you playing? When are you playing? Hey, when are you playing?
Right.
Right? I mean, for 2 years, because he was out for 2 years.
I know.
So I mean, that has to wear on you. That has to wear on you.
It does.
As a person.
And then you have to worry that, you're out there playing, and if you get hurt, is it going to make some things happen again, or,
Exactly. So we're just glad that he's going to get a shot. Now, he was traded to Nashville in the Ellis deal along with Myers. And then Nashville then proceeded to trade him to Vegas for Cody Glass. So now he's going to be Nolan Patrick is out in Vegas. Right, and that's where he's gonna try and play, and I wish him nothing but the best.
Right.
Okay, I really do. I wish him nothing but the best. So I hope that he follows the typical Flyers players, ex-Flyer players line. And as soon as they leave the team, they get their name on the freaking cup.
You know, you would think the teams would look at that and go, I know what we need to do. Let's
get a guy from the Flyers.
Right.
We'll win the cup.
It's guaranteed.
Right? I mean, what? Oh, my gosh. So, yeah, I say A-.
Okay.
A- because I think this goaltender is going to push Carter Hart a little bit because he's going to be able to play maybe more games than maybe,
Well, I hope Carter Hart has a better year than last year.
And so, just in case he doesn't, we need a guy in there, like, a little better than... When we were doing the show for Hockey Writers Inc. the other day, and Lance Green, who is the host of Hockey Writers Inc., said to me, yeah, Brian Elliott played in 53.6% of the games last year. And I went, what? Did you just say 53.6% of the games? And he said, yeah. I went, wait a minute. That's not backup goaltender numbers.
That's
starter. I mean, you're 50%. He played in 30 games. Well, they only played 56.
Right.
And he didn't start all 30 games, but he played in 30 games. Now that's me scratching my head here going, hey, what? So we're really hoping here that Carter Hart can get that bounce. That was his, sophomore slump or whatever you want to call it. His team really kind of hung him out to dry because all you have to do is look at Brian Elliott's numbers and, well, he was hung out to dry too.
Yeah.
He had over a three save percentage, or goals against, and his save percentage was below 9. So, no, that's not a starting goaltender. No, he was 48th, ranked 48th.
Wow.
And that's not a starting goaltender there, folks. And so, but look, I'm glad for Elliott Moose getting a shot down there in Tampa Bay, get to go play for the Stanley Cup winning champion, Tampa Bay Lightning, back-to-back.
Stanley Cup.
So, I don't know if that's going to be the case this coming year. Boy, they lost 6 players, Tampa Bay did, and there was a lot of movement. I mean, this was the first year in a couple years where the start of free agency was actually like, man, I remember back in like 2006 where when you would click onto the website and you would click on the thing and it would just refresh like every 3 minutes, and there was like 6 or 7 different names on there of things that have happened and changed and everything. And I was like, wow. Well, the last couple years, it was like, oh, hey, it's free agency day. Hey, get a cup of coffee and maybe by dinner time we'll give you a call.
Yeah.
And it was like hardly anything happened, and there was some moves, but then, okay, COVID.
Right.
And the flat cap. But even the couple years before that was still kind of yawners. Not a lot was going on, but this one just felt really exciting.
Right.
This also was a much more exciting Stanley Cup, and the playoffs were much more exciting this year because of having fans back in the stands and everything like that.
Really, I didn't realize how much a difference it made, but it really did make a big difference.
It was night and day. Completely night and day. So, I mean, what can I say? Here's the other beautiful thing, too. I think now with the teams all the divisions are going to be realigned.
Yeah, I think that's going to make a difference, too.
And the teams are going to be able to play other teams now and things like that.
I think playing the same teams 8 times was a little too much. You know what I mean? Like, I understand why, and I'm really glad they did it, because it gave us a season.
Yeah.
But I think it was a little too much.
Yeah, what I would like to see is what me and John from Off the Wall Hockey, the show's out on Friday nights, 8 to 10. We do Off the Wall Hockey show for hockey fans with John. And we were talking about how we would like for them to do what they did at the end of the season this past year, where teams would play like 2 or 3 games against a team.
Right.
Or they would just play like 2 games back to back against a team, or a set of games against a team, or you know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna play them that many times in the year, play a set of 3s.
Right.
Or a set of 2s, or
like if we're gonna play the Kings or something more than once, then
have them go out there in LA and play 2 games out there.
Right.
So what?
don't just go there, come back, go back there later, and then,
And the next day, see, that's the other thing too, because that's what baseball does. Like, you'll see, baseball plays, twice as many games.
Yeah.
Exactly twice as many. Okay, there's 82 games in a season. For hockey, there's 162 or 164 games in baseball. So it's exactly double. So, yeah, I can understand why you play a set of games, four games in a row against a team.
Right.
You're there for a week, you play 4 games, all right. I would like to see that kind of happen in hockey. Instead of 4 games, maybe it's 2.
Right.
Where they spend 3 days or 4 days there, and there's a game every other night. Right? That way you don't have to do the back-to-backs, and you don't have to worry about that. You know what I mean? But, hey, what do I know, man? I'm just an idiot. I don't know nothing.
Well, you said it, and we have it on tape.
Hey, that's right. What do you know? God? I know. He's an idiot, but he's self-aware. At least I'm self-aware, right?
Thank you, Christopher Titus.
But, no. We're not thanking him for nothing, really. But,
that was because it was from his show.
I know, but... Anyway, so, all right, I like the Flyers. That's my grade, A-. You gave them a B-. A lot of things happened in the NHL, and with that...
My favorite thing that's happened is actually Marc-Andre Fleury going to Chicago and saying he will play while he's there.
It was funny that you mentioned that, because I read a great quote by Bill Meltzer, the great Bill Meltzer, who we had on the Hockey Writers Inc. A couple shows ago there, pre-draft, and he had a lot of great stuff to talk about too with the players and the breakdown, and he quoted the saying of in the first Star Wars movie, The Great Hope, where the late great Alec Guinness quotes, "I felt a disturbance in the force as though suddenly 1,000 voices cried out in pain and suddenly were silent." And he quoted that about with what Marc-Andre Fleury said about the fact that he was going to play in Chicago. I'm like, yeah, all right, you go, Bill. So kudos to Bill Meltzer on that. That was a good tweet there, buddy. That was a good one, man. That was a good one. So yeah, I like that. A lot of good things happened. I mean, a lot of trades. I mean, Grubauer going to Seattle. That was completely like, what?
That's going to play a difference this year, because we now have Seattle, too.
Seattle has... Grubauer was up for the Vezina. He was 3rd in the voting for the Vezina this past year. He's now playing in Seattle, and Seattle went out and just crushed it on D. I mean... their defense is better than probably a third of the Western teams out there right now.
So, speaking of Seattle, and I don't know if we've talked about this yet, but Dave Haxtell, really?
Yeah. It's funny, too, because we were talking about this the one week on the Off the Wall Hockey Show about... So what do you think about Dave Haxtell being the coach of the Seattle Kraken? And my first reaction was I laughed. Because I was like, well, gosh, I guess y'all don't want to win right now or ever.
When he was in Philly, they had some success, but it wasn't like massive success, I guess, is what I'm looking for. Like, hey. He
was there for 3.5 seasons.
Right.
So he didn't even make his contract. He didn't even live out to his... I think he was originally signed for 5 years, along with Hextall. Okay? Mm-hmm. And that was going to be the plan. That was, the 5-year plan. And he was the coach that Hextall brought in.
Right.
Right? And 3.5 years he had to fire him.
Right.
So, and then he spent a couple of seasons in Toronto as an assistant coach. And I'm not really sure what he did up there as the assistant coach. And he also was one of the assistant coaches for the, I believe, for the one of the hockey, the Olympic teams. I can't remember if it was American or I think Canadian. It was Canadian. Yeah. And so he was the assistant coach for that too. So he has a great record at his college where he came from, which was North Dakota, I believe, or South Dakota, where they had made the Frozen Four, which is the hockey equivalent of the Final Four for men's college basketball or women's college basketball. It's the hockey version, the Frozen Four. He had been to it like 9 out of 11 years, and although he had never won it.
Right. I don't know. It's an interesting choice.
And the guys that they picked at the beginning, when we were doing the expansion draft live, and we were like, well, this is obviously clearly not going to be the team that they're going to suit up on opening night.
Right.
And lo and behold, it ain't. So, because they made a lot of changes too, obviously, right. With Grubauer coming in and quite a few of the other names that they brought in, I'm gonna be. I have to say, I really like the jerseys. I like the away jerseys best. Those are the whites. I like them the best, and I think that Seattle might have to be my second. Go on as my second favorite team, just because I like the name and everything. I certainly don't like the coach, but I like the name and I like Ron Francis and I like what he's doing up there. I'm just kind of scratching my dome here on the whole coach situation.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's like good with the young guys, and most of the guys that they picked up in the expansion draft, and for the most part, everywhere else has all been pretty young.
Well, maybe that's their strategy. They're going to build a team and get them aged, and
that was the whole deal from the beginning. I mean, that was what everybody knew. They
weren't going to go with the Vegas strategy of picking big names to win right away.
Right, but I will say this though: I think Seattle is going to be. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year, but who knows? But with Grubauer as their starting goaltender and the defense that they have,
maybe.
I mean, it might be a stretch to say that they will be a wild card, but I'm going to say this. They'll win some games.
That's good.
They are definitely going to win some games. And they're going to shock some teams. Okay? And they're not going to be the slouch that the expansion team. No. It's going to be tough to score on them. They're going to have some good defense. And Grubauer is a heck of a goalie. He was up for the Vezina. So, I mean, it's not going to be no slouch to go in there and play in Seattle.
Right.
So, with that being said, folks, we are going to take a quick little break, and we're going to take a little word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back. And we would like to thank Canine Country Club Resorts for being our sponsor. Really appreciate that. You can check them out on the web or Facebook at www.cccresorts.com or check them out on Facebook. Also, make sure to check them out for all of your daycare and spa grooming needs and also pool time. So check them out on the web at www.cccresorts.com. We'll be right back right after this.
Greetings. This is SteelFlyers from the SteelFlyers All Sports Network, and we have two very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of two locations both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. SteelFlyers stands behind this company 100%. Taking care of SteelFlyers' furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. Both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The SteelFlyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities, and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full-service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God.
That's a big thank you there for our sponsor, Canine Country Club Resorts. Really appreciate all the sponsorship that they were able to do here for us, and all the great stuff here. So thank you very much for them.
Yep.
Really appreciate that. You can check them out on the web, www.cccresorts.com.
You realize nobody says www anymore, right?
Okay, well, I do. So,
You're so old-fashioned.
in case you haven't noticed, I'm a little bit old, okay? I mean, come on. What? I got the voice. All right. So we're back, and we're here talking some more sports, and we're going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Holy moly.
Well, as we stated, it's
39 days.
and counting. That's for the NFL season to kick off, and I can't wait. I'm like overly excited. We're actually in a couple of days in now because, well, Pittsburgh was able to start their training camp early. They've actually been in camp since the 24th.
Right. They posted a bunch of pictures on Instagram of people that have come to their, fans that have been at the stadium to watch practice. And
Right, because Pittsburgh was not approved to be at St. Vincent's College this year for their training camp. So they opened the first 4 days of their training camp was at the UPMC training facilities in Pittsburgh. I believe that's in Oakland, there at near Pitt University. And then now that training camp officially opened on the 28th, the team switched out now to Heinz Field.
Right.
Is where his training camp is going to be this year. So it's opened. It was open to the public on the 28th, but the team has been in camp since the 24th. And I want to touch on some of the things that's been going on here at camp.
Well, what I'm looking forward to is the game on Thursday, the Hall of Fame game on Thursday, the Hall of Fame speeches this weekend from all of our
future HOF alumni.
Our coach, Bill Cower, and unfortunately, Troy won't be there in person.
Well, as far as we know, he won't be there in person as of right now.
Right.
And that's the big ugly news, is that I'm sure everybody's heard that Troy Polamalu tested positive for COVID, and they were working, him and his family, thank God everybody's okay. He said he doesn't have any symptoms per se. He's not feeling bad or anything like that, so that's all great. And, prayers up for him and his family, because he said that his family's okay, and he was the only one. And so, and he was working with the Hall of Fame folks to see what, is going to have to happen here, and what potentially could be him missing his induction because of COVID.
Well, he'll be inducted. He just might have to do it virtually instead of being
like his
there.
speech will be. He was scheduled to be 8th on the list, with Bill Cower being 10th and final on Saturday for his induction, for Troy Polamalu's induction. He was slated to speak 8th in the rotation, and Bill Cower was slated to speak 10th in the rotation. So we'll see how that all shakes down. I mean, there's a week, little 6 days until
maybe he'll be tested enough that he'll be able to go.
Right. So we'll see how that all shakes down and how that all works.
It's going to be a very interesting Hall of Fame weekend.
Well, let's just say this. First of all, let's just get into that first. Okay, because Hall of Fame week is going to be very special this year. Especially if you're a Steelers fan. Because Bill Cower's going in, Troy Polamalu is going in, Alan Faneca is going in, Bill Nunn is going in, and so is Donnie Shell.
Right. Plus, you also get Peyton Manning.
Right.
And the Cowboys coach that's escaping me right this second.
Jimmy Johnson. Yeah, I forgot about him.
And, it's unbelievable the names that'll be inducted this weekend. Because they're doing 3 ceremonies in 2 days. Because last year it was going to be the Hall of Fame in
the
August.
100-year, and it was supposed to be the 100-year induction as well. They were going to induct.
Right, in September. And then now you have that and 2021, so it's I just can't believe it's going to be huge.
Yeah. I mean, how amazing is that we get to see this particular group of guys going into the Hall of Fame, and all very much deserving. Number one, I think people are not even really speaking about this at all, is the fact that Peyton Manning, first ballot.
Well, of course. He's Peyton Manning. My question is, wait, before you ask that, my question is Brad Paisley going to introduce Peyton Manning with his guitar?
And a little, do. Oh, sorry. Anyway. What's the one he did? Chicken parm, you taste so good. Right? Okay. So that in and of itself, seeing Peyton Manning going in, that in and of itself. But Troy Polamalu, first ballot.
Yeah.
First year eligible. How you doing? Bang, unanimous. It was like, whoa, all right, cool. I don't think he was unanimous. But the fact that he was first year eligible,
right.
There was never really going to be a question, I think, with Troy Polamalu. Really? But that is going to be very exciting. There's quite a few Steelers that are going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame this coming weekend, and then they're going to be playing. The first preseason game is going to happen for Pittsburgh and Dallas on Thursday.
Right.
That'll be the first preseason game, and that'll be interesting because you'll probably see starters play a series.
Maybe.
The first series, maybe. The first series, maybe. And then that's it.
Right.
And that's it. You'll see. I think we're going to see a lot of Haskins, and I think we're going to see a lot of Rudolph in the preseason. I really think that's what's going to probably end up shaking down. I think we're going to see a lot of Najee Harris in the first preseason game just to see what this guy's going to be, our number 1 draft pick.
Right.
And then we're going to see everybody else. You know what I mean? This will be Anthony McFarland's second year, and I'm looking forward to that as well, seeing what he's going to look like as well, because that guy just has ugly speed.
Right. Well, we've had some changes on the team this year, so.
Yeah, James Conner is no longer. He's out in Arizona, and wish him the best. You know, we had some guys retire this year with Pouncey retiring, and I believe Vance McDonald also, retired as well. Our tight end. But let me tell you something, folks. This Pat Fairmouth that we picked up from Penn State, that the Steelers picked up from Penn State, 2nd round draft pick. If y'all don't know, this cat is the real deal. I mean, Gronk 2.0? Better? Ooh. Upgrades? What?
Upgrades.
I mean, Fairmouth is going to be the guy. All right. I think he was the better tight end out of the draft this year. In my opinion. It was just my opinion, but, you know, what do I know? I'm just the old man named SteelFlyers sitting back here talking about it.
Yes, folks, I live with this every day.
And please pray for her. Because, boy, oh boy. And let me tell you something, folks. The only reason why I get to do this is because of such a great partner. Partner. You like that? It's an official word. The reason why I get to do this is because of such a great partner. And I love it. And thank you for allowing me to do this and for...
We went way off the rails there, but you're welcome.
Yeah, I went way off the rails there, but all right, cool. So
back to the Steelers.
All right. Very exciting that the Hall of Fame is coming up, and the Hall of Fame game is going to happen. That's the first preseason game. That's why the Steelers were allowed to start training camp a little bit early. Same way with the Dallas Cowboys as well, too. There's been some injuries happen in camp with Pittsburgh. And some guys that have been, you know, I mean, Mike Tomlin has proven that he takes care of the veterans. I mean, you know, this is training camp, so everybody should be out there working.
Right. It's going to be different than last year. We'll have actual equipment on and actual scrimmages and...
Well, scrimmages probably, and there's going to be the full slate of games for preseason.
Yeah.
However many there may be.
Well, as of now,
3 maybe.
That's subject to change.
Right, so you never know. Hey, you know, the NFL's pretty fluid, so we just get to ride with the tide.
That's become the world as we know it right now.
Yeah, ride with the tide has become fluid. You know,
Yeah.
You got to be able to be, you know, nimble and think on your feet. But they're slated to play the full slate of preseason games, so however that shakes down, all right. And then Pittsburgh is going to start playing for real in anger in September.
Nice.
You know, so very excited for this season. A lot of some things have changed. You know,
some players have moved.
Some players have moved on. Also, Vince Williams retired, announced his retirement as well. So we don't got Vini Vici.
Yeah.
Back air man in the run anymore, the run gaps, and that's gonna. But Highsmith, Bush back
I was
healthy.
gonna say we're getting Bush back.
Bush back healthy. He's been showing
Hopefully.
good in camp. In spite of the other things he's been doing off the field, but he's been showing out good at camp. Highsmith has been playing well. Looking for TJ to get. Oh gosh, I think we're looking for a big old extension for him.
They would be stupid not to.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm thinking they're gonna be, that's gonna be a double digit a year contract for him with some guarantees probably or something. There's gonna have to be, you know.
Right.
But I mean,
Because you know what? If they don't pay him, somebody will.
That's exactly right. And you see, I mean, he should have won Defensive Player of the Year last year, in my opinion, but that's my opinion. And well, hey, I think he had more sacks than Aaron Donald, but, that's just me. And then Highsmith, his second year, he showed out really well towards the end of the year. I think he's going to be good this coming year. Bush coming back. We went out and got Ingram from the Chargers. So I think he's going to be a good addition as well. And we re-signed Spillane.
I think that was a great move.
Yeah, I think that's going to be depth. We're going to need it. Okay, because as you know, Pittsburgh needs the depth in linebacking. But with the Marquise Pouncey gone, and then DeCastro gone, and then also Villanueva gone.
Yeah.
Right? So that's 3 offensive line starters. Now, I'm not really all that worried about DeCastro because, to be honest with you, I'm not saying that he wasn't a good player when he was healthy and playing for Pittsburgh, but I think we have players that are going to be upgrades. Dotson being the one that's going to take over for him and step in, and I think he's going to play better. I think he has a bigger, better frame to play guard than what DeCastro did. Okay? And I think Dotson has better footwork than DeCastro does. He has better feet. He's more nimble on his feet than DeCastro was, which means as guard, that's good for when you're pulling, especially for outside runs, which Pittsburgh likes to do a lot.
Right.
Especially when you line up with two tight ends, you need to be able to have that guard that can do that pull out and then can also stay at home and block. And Dotson has that capability to do that. You know what I mean? And we're getting Zach Banner is supposed to be scheduled to be back. You know what I mean? Chucks is going to be back as well. We re-signed B.J. Finney. He's going to probably be our center as well. So we also drafted a center in the draft. Big kid from, oh gosh, I can't remember. Wisconsin, I think it was. Oh man, I can't remember. Jeez. If you give me a second here, I'll break out our crack research team, which is me. While the
crack research team does that, let's talk about one of our biggest acquisitions off season.
Okay.
Mr. Harris.
Mr. Harris. Najee. He drafted him.
Right.
Well, okay. No, that's the defensive end. Is it Kendrick Green?
Might be.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, let me pop this up.
We might want to.
Yes, from Illinois. Kendrick Green from Illinois in the third round. Yeah, he was the guy that was. He also signed his rookie contract as well. So that, and he's in camp and has been playing. As far as I know, he did have I think he did a little tweak and missed a couple of days or something like that, but I think he might be back or whatever. So, but I'm looking for him to take over to be the next heir apparent center. He's definitely got all the tools. He's liked what I saw the tape on him. What a steal in the third round, I have to say, man. I think he's going to be a pretty good player. So yeah, but Ben restructured his contract, helped out the team so they could stay under the cap. They lost Pouncey, they lost Villanueva, they lost to Castro, they lost.
We said that, yeah.
Yeah, so Pittsburgh is notoriously known for not doing splash guys, and they went out and got Mark Ingram from the Chargers.
Yeah.
All right. So
we'll see.
We'll see how it goes.
I mean,
I'm looking forward to this year because last year was
bizarre.
Last year was bizarre, but this year, hopefully, Pittsburgh will get their bye week, and hopefully this year, Pittsburgh will run the ball.
Well,
The number 1 draft pick was Najee Harris, who was the best running back probably on the board.
Right.
Okay? So, all right.
Then give him the ball.
And then we drafted the last 2 years, Pittsburgh has drafted starting offensive linemen. Mm-hmm. Okay? Because Dotson now is starting, Chucks is starting, Zach Banner's starting. These are all guys that we drafted.
Right.
Right? Or that the Steelers drafted. And so I think that it's one of those things where, you know, these guys are starting to come to their own now.
Yeah, I mean, they've had some time to develop and get used to the...
There's also a new line coach, so hopefully that'll be good. I mean, you know, when you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting it to improve, that's never a good mix. There's also
doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
That's it. Thank you.
Definition of insanity.
Yes, thank you. And that insanity was fired, and Randy Fichtner sadly is still not working in the NFL.
You don't seem all broken up about that.
I mean, gosh, he's a good quarterbacks coach.
I mean, he does have some talent, obviously.
That's where he came from as a quarterbacks coach.
To be at the level he was coaching at, and it can be. It's just that he just couldn't move beyond his scheme and see that it wasn't working and trying some other things, or
right.
You know, it's not working. Stop doing it.
Right. So Canada now is the offensive coordinator for Pittsburgh. The offensive line coach is new. There's been the linebackers coach is different now. So there's been some changes in the coaching room. We will see, because I'm going to be telling you something, okay? Now, I know Mike Tomlin signed an extension.
Right.
But if we don't put it together in the next year...
At least make a deep run into the playoffs.
Instead of barely making it into the playoffs because you won the first 11 games.
Right.
And you were able to just...
squeak your way in.
Drop the ball in the last 6.
And whatever you do... For any football team, do not rest your players for the last game. Don't do it. It doesn't work. Ever.
I mean...
Ever.
What? You don't get it, do you, Mike? What? Smack!
I get the rationale, but every time the team says, oh, this is our last game, we're going to rest our starters to get ready for the playoffs, they inevitably... never get past the first game.
Yeah, because they lose. You know why? Because they haven't done anything in over a week. They suddenly have been grinding it out for the last 8 weeks, or wherever your bye week comes. They've been grinding it out for the last umpteen weeks now in a row, and now suddenly you get 2 weeks off, and then you're going to just jump right back in at it?
No.
That's not how that works. That is not how that works. I have never been a fan of resting players, especially if you're going in winning.
Right.
You know, you win the game before the last game and you're on a streak, everybody's playing the next game, so just bank on it.
I mean, they don't have to play the whole game. Play them for the first half. You know what I mean? Play them for the first 3 quarters. If you're doing a decent lead, then you rest your players. But don't give them that time to think. That is the problem. It's not the resting, it's the thinking.
The time to think.
Yes.
Yes, it's the time to and I'm also with you as well, too. Like, you play the starters, and then if there's a lead, then start taking the starters out.
Right.
If there is no lead and you still have to play to win, guess what? The starters are in. I'm trying to win.
Right.
When you're in. I mean, I don't get it. I will quote a famous coach that says you play to win the game. I mean, I can't be the only one thinking that.
No.
Okay, so if you're air quotes resting players, that means that
you're not
really
playing
don't
to win.
care to win. You're not playing to win. You just announced to the world that it's all right if we lose this game, because we're probably because we're gonna sit this person, this person, this person, and this person.
our marquee players.
What?
I know, and it's paradoxical, and I get it, but it doesn't work.
I'm paying how many hundreds of dollars to go see this team, and you're resting the guys on the last week? Yeah. There's a famous quote by the late great John Facenda, who said that you go to the dance with who brung you.
Right.
So if you're playing well at the end of the season and you're winning, guess what? You keep on keeping on. You keep a streak rolling. You keep it. Man, I wouldn't change anything. I'd eat the same breakfast. I'd, do the same workout routine. Whatever. What? We'll run through the same practice. What do I got to do? I'd wear the same shoes, the same flip.
Okay, so can I segue a little bit here?
Well, that's how we do that.
I'd like to talk a little bit Olympics.
Yeah, we can do that.
Just a little bit. There's something I'd like to say.
Okay, well, first let's just say this. The Hall of Fame game is happening on Thursday. That's going to be a Thursday night game at 8 o'clock, so that's going to be interesting to see. That's going to be the first NFL game that's going to be attended by, I believe, full attendance of fans.
As of now.
And then it's going to be a huge weekend of Hall of Fame that's going to happen this coming weekend. They're going to cover basically they're going to cover 3 inductions in one weekend. They're going to get the 2020 that they didn't get to do in 2020, and they're going to get to do the century enshrinement, or the group of 100-year player celebration that they were going to do a special induction into the Hall of Fame to celebrate the 100 years of the Hall of Fame with a special class of inductions. And then they're going to do the 2021 class then on Sunday night.
Right.
So that's going to be a huge weekend starting on Thursday. Huge weekend starting on Thursday. And then...
As all weekends should.
Right, all weekends should start on Thursday. So we're going to get a lot of celebration here, a lot of Hall of Fames, and a lot of speeches. So as far as I know, Troy Polamalu was slated to speak 8th, and Bill Cowers was slated to speak 10th in the rotation for the first round of speeches, and I believe that was for that's for the first round of speaches, right. I believe. So
we talked about it. So it's going to be an interesting weekend.
Yeah. Boy, it sure seems black and gold heavy.
Well, we do have our own wing. We should have our own wing.
That's a good way to put it. The Steelers should have their own wing. I mean, with these next couple classes going in, then, with Alan Faneca going in as well, and Donnie Shell, and even Bill Nunn going in. Mm-hmm. I mean, the great scout that scouted all those guys that went to those specific colleges to bring guys in like John Stallworth, to bring guys in like Joe Green.
Right.
To bring those...
Who created this amazing team.
That all those teams that he scouted and drafted were then selected to go to the Hall of Fame as well, too, with multiple Super Bowl trophies on their hands and everything else like that, too. There's one that needs to go in, but hey, we're not gonna get into political things. So Elsie Greenwood needs to be in the Hall of Fame, but anyway.
So Olympics.
So but
let me take a minute to step on a soapbox.
Okay. Oh boy, here we go. We're pulling it out.
Well, one of the biggest controversies was Simone Biles dropping out or withdrawing because
the American gymnast who...
Correct.
Right, okay.
Because she felt that she would either hurt herself or damage the team's chances at gold medal by competing. And there's been a lot of positive reinforcement that people were like, okay, that makes sense. And a lot of people who don't understand and who think she just kind of copped out.
Okay.
And I saw in an interview that she said, or that someone said, the reason it was like getting the yips, but they call it the twisties, where your brain knows what it should do, but your body doesn't do it. And you can get seriously injured because you're not doing the trick or the move correctly.
Yeah, especially the stuff that this woman was doing. Oh my.
When you have a gymnast that has moves named after them because they created them and they're famous for them in the same Olympics that you're competing in.
Wait, and they're still alive and they're still competing.
I mean, she's so amazing, and I think that her saying my mental health is more important than anything else is a big thing for people who have mental health challenges, who aren't just being told, hey, just get over it, just push through, because sometimes you can't. And I think I'm very impressed that she took, because she obviously, her and her coaches and her support staff and whoever,
family and all that,
they knew when she made this decision that it wouldn't go over very well with a lot of people. But she still made the decision to protect herself and her mental health and her physical well-being, and I think that's important.
Wow.
I think it's important for Olympics to start recognizing what we're doing to children. I mean, they're still children. They start very young. Their bodies are stunted in certain ways. Their mental health they're just everything that goes into being an Olympic athlete, and to be great is so much work. And I'm so impressed by everybody that competes in the Olympics. That's why one of the reasons I love the Olympics, because you're seeing people who are doing things that normal humans can't do. Even really good ones, even really healthy people can't do some of these things, and the training and the effort that takes into it, and to say, look, I know
sacrifice that goes into it, especially this year because the Olympics were delayed a full year,
right,
because of COVID. So it was 5 years in between now. So
even if you're rooting for a different country, or if you're rooting, just recognize the importance of the work that's gone into just this couple of weeks
and
of
especially
sports.
With what Biles,
no matter what the sports, even if it's water polo
or what's her name, Simone Biles.
Yeah.
Okay. She's the United States women's Olympic gymnast who bowed out of the individual competition.
No, she's bowed out of both, out of the team and the individual.
Okay, and the team competition as well, too. And I also read, too, that she didn't want it to be a distraction, that she didn't want her issues to be the distraction to the team.
Right.
Okay. Now, okay, so I'm not an Olympic athlete, never was, never claimed to be, but I played football for the better part of 10 years.
Starting when you were young, very young.
I was, we joke about it now. You go to a hockey game now, and in between periods they have mites on ice, right? And it's these little 6-year-old little kids that are just skating around with equipment on, and it's because there's so much equipment and there's so little kid. It's just equipment skating around. You know what I mean? And so
the equipment weighs more than the kid.
But there's more equipment than there is kid.
Yeah.
And so that's how it was when you're 8 years old and you're going out for football. There's more equipment than there is kid. And there's 11 kids on one side and 11 kids on another side, and these little 8-year-old kids all running around, with helmets and pads and banging into each other and falling over. And then, hey, the football's laying there, somebody grab it. And then all these little kids run and jump onto a football. Hey, you got,
Right.
So, but made it all the way up to high school. And did a lot of weightlifting and did a lot of fun. It was fun to do some of those kinds of things. Some of the training was fun and worth it and cool and all that. But it was hard work. It took a lot of effort. It was practice, every night and, game planning. And it was a lot of work.
Right.
It was a lot of sacrifice. I mean, parents running you back and forth to practice and then running you back and forth to the games and then trainings and then this and then that and then all the things that's involved in doing that and all the sacrifice that your family makes. And, especially like if you're you're a mom and dad that does travel, or if you're, a family that does, your kids are on a travel team.
Right.
And that's really taxing and costs a lot and, the whole 9 yards for you. The Olympics are a whole nother level.
Right.
Okay. And those people are doing things that, in my opinion, are a whole nother level. Okay. As far as athletically. Now, do I think that table tennis should be an Olympic sport? No.
Okay, but there's still a lot of training and a lot of practice and a lot of sacrifice, and the same thing that goes into one sport goes into the other.
I agree, but the list of sports has a little bit to be desired.
Sometimes. I agree. Sometimes, I think chess was one of the sports in the first, 1900s Olympics. They played chess for an Olympic gold. I mean, it changes with time and.
Okay, I'm with you, but look, when it comes down to it, the swimming and the track and field and those kinds of things, and a lot of the team, like the volleyball team games and the water polo games and, that kind of stuff. And then there's the archery type things and those kinds of things. To me, I'm okay with that because archery is actually one of the originals.
From the Greeks.
Okay, so nice to see you still got one of the originals. I mean, if you look at those bows, they don't even look like they're... they got all these stabilizers that come out on the top and bottom, and, they weigh like an ounce.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, all right. And they got all these straps and braces and stuff, and they're all like... It's like you strap into this bow thing or whatever. I don't know, but hey, man, at least they're still doing it, so hey, cool. But thank you for saying that, because it is something that people overlook. And there's a lot of young athletes that are dealing with mental health issues, that have mental health issues, that people gloss over, people don't realize. I mean...
They're like, oh, they should just suck it up and get over it and push through the pain. Well, sometimes,
It's not necessarily pushing through, physical pain. Physical pain is one thing to push through. When I tell you this, I can tell you this from experience. Physical pain, you can push through that. Mental pain and anguish is not something that you can push through. Okay? There's too many things that you need to be able to do in order to get...
There's a lot of work that has to go into mental health that isn't recognized, and
Exactly.
That I'm off my soapbox
now.
now.
It's okay. I mean, that's why we have this platform, so we can do these. You know what I mean? It's good because it gets awareness out there. Oh, by the way, that's our co-host. Thank you, co-host. She approves of the soapbox. Right? And with that, we are going to say thank you very much. Really
Good night.
Appreciate you.
Good luck. Good afternoon. Good evening. And good night.
that's yeah. Okay, there you go. But thank you very much to our sponsor, Canine Country Club Resorts. Really appreciate all the sponsorship and everything that they've done. Really appreciate that. So thank you very much. You can check them out on the web at cccresorts.com. See, I did it without the, You can also check them out on Facebook as well, too. And please hit the like and subscribe and follow us. Please, you can check us out on the web at steelflyers.com, or you can check me out on Twitter at SteelFlyers52. Just remember, folks, stay safe, stay strong, and hang tough.